All right, so you like poetry.
Yes.
Who are your favorite poets?
Don Marquis is my favorite poet. He's a free verse poet who's hugely in syndication and not published at all anymore. Just the Archie and Mehetabel omnibus is still published, and that's about the transmigration of souls. It's all typed by a cockroach, right? And so all the poetry has no capitalization or punctuation, because to do that he would have to work the shift key. So he just types everything by slamming his head into the keys. And he hangs out with the cat that used to be Cleopatra. I love Don Marquis. Robert Frost is probably my next favorite, just for Two Robes Diverged and a Yellow Wood, because it suits me. You know, if I choose to drink this coffee now, or because we chose to have this interview now, or if I hadn't chosen to, or if you couldn't have made it, how things, how everything just ripples apart and apart and apart. And it always sort of used to terrify me. I'm really bad at making decisions because of that poem, which I read when I was about 8, and it just really stuck with me, and it really affected my world view, I guess. It just, I don't know, it helped shape it. For all the crossroads, that poem is one of the crossroads for me.
If we only go down one path, does that mean we're always moving in one direction?
But how could you only move down one path? Because you'd have to keep taking steps to get there. Because any action, no matter how small, has an effect. Or not doing anything. So I guess you could take one road, and if you wanted to take one course for like all of your life, is you could sit right there and look straight forward and never move, ever. But that would be a choice too, and that would influence obviously what you'd done, and anyone that you might have walked into. If you left right now, and you might run into my neighbor who told you this miraculous thing, and it blew your mind and you discovered the existence of everything ever, or you walked out 2 seconds later and didn't see him and never knew. It depends on the day. I love music. My favorite piece is classical, is the Elgar Cello Concerto, just because it's like triumph and sorrow, and it's just beautiful. And I play the cello, so I've always been like, that piece of music. But I love Pink Floyd, I love Bone Thugs and Harmony, I love The Killer's Hot Fuzz is such a good album, and Modest Mouse and Muse, and I love, Mumford & Sons. I love the whole Rise of the Rockabilly folk thing. I think it's cool, like the indie thing. I love it all, honestly. And I love the old-timey. I love Edith Piaf and all that. And my grandpa used to play for Glenn Miller. So like the big band sound I grew up with. And so that's like nostalgia for me.
What instruments do you play?
I started on the piano. I mainly play the cello. I tinkered with the violin for like 2 years, but I like digging in to the cello. But then I came around recently and thought, I kind of want a tinker instrument, and so now I've got a ukulele, which is fun.
Why do you think critics become critics?
Hopefully, critics become critics because theater is a transitory art form, and they are the only record of it for all posterity. And they do that service to theater and the people who patronize it and who are part of it in any way. That's why I hope critics are critics. And there are some great ones out there, too.
Top 3.
Okay.
In order.
Writing, producing, acting. What's it like being a managing director? I love being a managing director, and I get to organize the best people I know doing this work with me, and I get to do all the really, really boring stuff that nobody wants to do. And I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do it, because I owe so much to the arts that I get to pay this back. Because I think a lot of small theaters fail because no businessmen get together and go, I'm going to start a theater company, because that's not how you make money, you know. It's a bunch of artists that get together to make theater. That's what they want to do. But they don't want to do the taxes. Like, I just finished doing the 990 and the W-2s and 3s and getting that out, and I was working on a grant application today, and I run the website, and I manage the insurance, and, you know, loads of things that, like, I get to coordinate with development and marketing, and I get to learn a lot of skills, you know. But it's a tough job, which makes it a little sad sometimes, because nobody really says, apart from, I mean, the company's so supportive, but I mean, nobody outside goes, yay for the managing director, like, anywhere. And in most places, managing directors can, not most, a lot of places, managing directors can be a figure of some dislike, because they manage the money, and because everybody wants more, and the managing director's the one going, no. But I'm glad to do it. Right now I work in a box office, right? And we'll open up windows over here, but someone who's looking at their phone, say, will line up at the one window where there is nobody, right? And we might be waving them, but somebody else sees that person waiting, and then somebody goes and stands behind them, and they form a whole line. Well, there's like 3 of us at different windows going like, hey! And nobody being served, because they just form lines. We just do that. I was watching today, I was waiting for the bus, and there's this big crowd of high school kids. They looked like they were here, like, visiting. And like 4 of them were up front. They were really excited, and they like had a map and brochures, and they were like running down the street. And then there was like another 4 that were on their phones, and they weren't even looking up, like not even looking up, just sort of following blindly their friends as they watch the screens. We just do that. It's a human thing. And I hope that the media doesn't exploit that. They may. I don't work in media. But if they wanted to, they could. And I think even if they didn't want to, people would. Don't you? Okay, the worst job I ever had was essentially a Ponzi scheme, okay? It was salaried plus commission. They said that it was being a part of the marketing team. And I submitted as view for marketing and was accepted. I got in there. It's door-to-door sales, right? Selling fiber optic cable for AT&T. They call it direct marketing, and I think it's the way of the future, because if you get something in the mail, you throw it out. If you get in the email, you click it off. People are going door to door now, right? And it's awful. And they wanted you to grow your team under you, and at the end of a year, you were going to be making, you know, 6-figure income with your own office somewhere in the country. Such bullshit. It was such bullshit. And they wanted you to work. The only way you could succeed is if you worked harder than everyone else and made more money than everyone else for them, because they all make the I quit in tears. I was so, oh, it's despicable. These platforms are everywhere now, you know, just taking a cut of everyone else's work. But what I was going to say is people are going off the grid. When I would knock on doors, people would be like, I'm leaving for the wilderness. Like, I don't have a card anymore. I cancel my bank. Take what cash I have. It's meaningless to me. Here's a can of soup. I'm leaving the world forever. Like, it's just gotten to be so much. Now we've got, like, bartering again. Everybody loves the farmer's market, you know.